This video is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual events or persons is purely coincidental. What's something people don't know about the tech world? Sometimes the quietest minds spark the biggest revolutions. But in the shadows of innovation, ambition and secrecy often walk hand in hand. In the heart of Silicon Valley, there was a company called Innovate Inc. Its glass towers gleamed under the California sun, a beacon for dreamers and disruptors alike. Inside, the air buzzed with energy and anticipation. The open-plan office was a hive of activity where ideas collided and egos clashed. Keyboards clicked like a constant rain, each keystroke a step closer to the next breakthrough, or the next disaster. Whiteboards overflowed with complex diagrams, cryptic equations, and half-erased secrets. The walls themselves seemed to hum with the weight of ambition. Young, ambitious people rushed through the halls, their eyes fixed on screens, their minds racing with possibility and pressure. They were all chasing the next big thing in technology, hoping to leave their mark before someone else beat them to it. Innovate Inc. wanted to change the world, but it also wanted to own it. More than that, it wanted to be incredibly successful. Every decision was measured in dollars and disruption. The pressure was relentless. Deadlines were tight, and the stakes were higher than most could imagine. The dream of a massive payday fueled long nights and endless cups of coffee. For some, it was a game. For others, it was survival. Everyone felt the push to create something revolutionary, something that would put them on the map, or at least keep them from being erased. In this fast-paced world worked Elara. She was a mystery to most, a quiet presence in a sea of noise. She was a software engineer, but her code was poetry. Elegant, efficient, and always a step ahead. But she was not just any engineer. Elara saw connections where others saw chaos. Elara was a quiet genius, her mind always working, always searching for the next elegant solution. While others focused on small fixes and minor updates, she saw the bigger picture, the architecture behind the architecture. She spent her nights not at company parties, but in front of her own computer, the glow of the screen her only companion. There, she was building something special. It was an algorithm. She called it Nexus. It was more than a project. It was her secret obsession. Nexus could look at vast amounts of data, sifting through oceans of information in seconds. It could see patterns no human could, uncovering hidden relationships and subtle trends buried deep in the noise. It could predict what customers would want to buy next with stunning accuracy, almost as if it could read their minds. This was not just a piece of code, it was a key, a skeleton key to the digital world, unlocking doors no one else could see. Elara knew her creation was powerful. She felt both pride and a flicker of fear at what she had built. She decided to bring it to Innovate Inc., but not without hesitation. She knew the risks of exposing something so valuable. She believed it could help the company grow, but she also knew that power attracts attention and danger. Her algorithm could make their products smarter, more adaptive, almost alive. It could make their marketing more effective, targeting customers with uncanny precision. It could give them an edge over every competitor, a secret advantage in the cutthroat world of tech. The CEO, a charismatic man named Mr. Sterling, was impressed. But behind his smile, his mind was already racing with possibilities and calculations. He saw the dollar signs in his eyes, but also the power. Nexus could make him a king in the tech world. He saw a shortcut to the success he craved, a way to leapfrog the competition and rewrite the rules. He immediately wanted Nexus for the company, pushing for rapid integration, no questions asked. Elara agreed, but she was not naive. She negotiated carefully, insisting on clauses to protect her intellectual property. She knew the value of her work and the dangers of losing control. She had a plan to protect it. Hidden backdoors, encrypted modules, and a kill switch only she could activate. Nexus was quickly integrated into Innovate's systems. The IT team marveled at its elegance, unaware of its deeper secrets. The results were immediate and dramatic. Sales began to climb, customer engagement skyrocketed. But so did the scrutiny. The algorithm was like a secret weapon, its true power known only to a select few. It worked silently in the background, making the company millions, but also drawing the attention of rivals and hackers alike. Elara became a vital part of the team, though few understood the true source of their newfound success. She watched from the sidelines, always alert. They just knew that since Elara's project went live, everything had gotten better. But some began to wonder, how? She was the architect of their prosperity. the quiet force driving the company forward. But in the world of tech, every secret has a price. Her genius was the engine, but soon, the driver would get greedy. And in the shadows, someone else was already watching, waiting for their chance to steal the spark of genius for themselves. The game had only just begun. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more tales of the corporate world. Your support helps us bring more stories to life. Elara was smart about her work, but she was also cautious, always watching, always thinking 2 steps ahead. She knew that ideas in the tech world could be taken, twisted, or stolen in the blink of an eye. So, she protected Nexus, not just with code, but with something far more subtle. She did this with a special contract, but it wasn't just any contract, it was a puzzle, a legal labyrinth designed to be overlooked by those in a hurry. When she joined Innovate Inc., she added a specific rule, a rule that looked ordinary, but was anything but. It was a simple clause, buried in the legal language of her employment agreement, but it was also encrypted, its true meaning hidden behind careful wording and legal nuance. The clause stated that the Nexus algorithm was her intellectual property. But there was more. Any derivative work, any improvement, any adaptation, those too would revert to her if certain conditions were met. The company could use it, yes, but only under her watchful eye. They had a license to do so, a license with hidden triggers, waiting to be activated. But this license was valid only as long as she was an employee. If her status changed, so would everything else. If her employment ended for any reason, the license would expire, and with it, the company's right to use Nexus. The company would have to stop using her code immediately. But there was a twist, an automated kill switch hidden deep in the system that only she could trigger. Mr. Sterling, the CEO, was a man of big ideas and bold speeches. He loved the spotlight, but he hated details. He was not a man who read the fine print. He trusted his instincts and his lawyers. He wanted results, not paperwork. He believed contracts were just formalities, obstacles to be signed and forgotten. When Elara presented her contract, he glanced at it briefly. He never saw the trap she'd set. His lawyers probably looked it over too, but they were busy, distracted by a much larger acquisition that was quietly falling apart. They were focused on other, bigger deals. The engineer's contract was just another file in a mountain of paperwork. A single engineer's contract seemed like a small detail. They missed the clause. Or maybe someone saw it, but chose to stay silent. Or maybe they didn't understand its power, or its danger. Mr. Sterling signed the paper without a second thought. In that moment, the fate of Nexus was sealed. He was eager to get Nexus working for him. He had no idea what he'd just agreed to. He saw Elara as just another employee and her contract as just another formality. But the real story was hidden in the margins. For 2 years, everything went perfectly. Elara improved Nexus, but she also built in silent safeguards, lines of code that only she understood. The company made more and more money. The board grew greedy and the stakes grew higher. Innovate Inc. became a rising star in the industry. But shadows were gathering. Competitors, hackers, and even insiders began to circle. Mr. Sterling took all the credit, but he never noticed the subtle changes Elara made to the system's core. He gave speeches about his vision, but the real vision was Elara's, hidden in code and in contract. He appeared on the covers of business magazines, but rumors began to spread about a mysterious clause and a system that could vanish overnight. He talked about our technology and our brilliant innovation, but he never mentioned the one person who could take it all away. In his mind, Nexus belonged to the company. But the truth was more complicated. It was an asset, like the office furniture or the company cars. But unlike those, Nexus could disappear with a single keystroke. He completely forgot about the quiet engineer who had created it, and the silent war she was fighting behind the scenes. He forgot about the special contract she had made him sign. But someone else hadn't. An anonymous email arrived in Elara's inbox, warning her that the board was planning a hostile takeover. This oversight was a ticking time bomb. And now, the countdown had begun. Elara knew the terms of her agreement, but she also knew the company was about to test them. She kept a signed copy of her contract in a safe place, but she also made a backup, hidden in the cloud, protected by layers of encryption. She documented every update she made to the algorithm, every change, every improvement, evidence for the battle she suspected was coming. She was proud of her work and the success it brought the company, but she was also ready to defend it at any cost. But she also understood the nature of business. People can be unpredictable, and sometimes the greatest threats come from within. Loyalty is not always returned. Trust can be broken in an instant. She hoped she would never need to use her hidden claws, but she was prepared. And now, she wasn't alone. Someone else knew her secret. Her protection was not just in lines of code, but in the clear, simple lines of her contract, and in the encrypted messages she began to receive from an unknown ally. It was a silent shield she carried with her. But now, the game had changed, and the real battle for Nexus was about to begin. If you enjoyed this chapter, don't forget to like and subscribe for more thrilling content. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos. In the dead of night, Mr. Sterling sat alone in his glass-walled office, the city's neon glow flickering across his face. He was restless, haunted by the relentless pressure from Innovate Inc.'s board and the insatiable hunger for legacy that gnawed at him. A much larger tech giant had set its sights on Innovate Inc. The offer was staggering. Hundreds of millions of dollars, a merger that would cement Sterling's name in the annals of Silicon Valley. The deal was more than just money. It was power, validation, and the promise of a seat among the industry's titans. Sterling could almost taste victory. This was the moment he had sacrificed everything for. The sale would make him not just wealthy, but legendary. But beneath the surface, the board's whispers grew louder. The tech giant's lawyers demanded a leaner company, a cleaner balance sheet, and no loose ends. Sterling pored over every line item, searching for fat to trim. Every decision was a chess move, every cut a calculated risk. The pressure mounted. He had to make the company irresistible, no matter the cost. His eyes landed on the employee salary list. Elara's name stood out, circled in red. He hesitated, recalling the Nexus algorithm. But the board's voice echoed in his mind. "We own the code. We don't need the coder." Sterling's ambition drowned out his doubts. He convinced himself, "We have her algorithm. Why do we still need her?" He summoned Elara to his imposing corner office, the city skyline a silent witness to what was about to unfold. The room was heavy with anticipation. Sterling didn't waste a second. He delivered the news with cold efficiency. The company was moving in a new direction. Her role, he said, was no longer needed. He fired her on the spot. He slid a small severance package across the desk, expecting outrage or desperate pleas. But Elara's face was unreadable. She simply listened, her silence unnerving everyone in the room. Sterling felt a flicker of doubt, but quickly buried it beneath his confidence. He believed he held all the power. He was certain the Nexus algorithm, and the future, belonged to him. He had completely forgotten the specific terms of Elara's contract, blinded by his own ambition. To Sterling, this was just a final box to check before his big payday. Elara did not argue. She did not plead. She remained calm. She listened to every word, her mind already racing ahead. When he finished, she looked him in the eye and said, "I understand." She declined the severance package, her voice steady. The CEO was caught off guard. She told him she would collect her personal belongings and leave immediately. As she walked out of his office, a wave of disappointment washed over her. But beneath it, a steely resolve took hold. She knew exactly what would happen next. The real game was just beginning. She had the signed contract, the one Sterling never bothered to read. She had proof of her ownership, and the legal leverage to turn the tables. The CEO's arrogance had just handed her the ultimate victory. He just didn't know it yet. Her silence was not weakness. It was a weapon, honed by years of being underestimated. She returned to her desk, her movements calm and deliberate. She didn't make a scene. She packed her small box of personal items, her mind already plotting her next move. She made a secure digital copy of her original contract and all her development notes. This was her proof, her insurance. It was the key to everything. The boardroom drama was far from over. As she walked out of the Innovate Inc. building for the last time, she didn't look back, but others were watching. Mr. Sterling watched her go from his window feeling smug, unaware of the storm he had just unleashed. He thought he had just saved the company some money and outsmarted a clever engineer. He had no idea he had just made the biggest mistake of his career. He hadn't just fired an employee, he had unplugged his company's entire future. And in the shadows of the corporate world, the real intrigue was only beginning. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more Sterling stories. Hit the bell so you never miss an update. The next chapter is just around the corner. You're going to love how this story ends. The sale of Innovate Inc. surged ahead, anticipation electrifying the air. The boardroom buzzed with hope and ambition, as if the future itself was being signed into existence. The tech giant's elite team of lawyers and accountants swept in, their eyes sharp, their questions relentless. This was the crucible of due diligence, a process where every secret is unearthed, every truth exposed. Their mission, to scrutinize every detail, to ensure nothing was hidden in the shadows. They pored over contracts, assets, and every intricate line of code, searching for cracks in the foundation. The buyers wanted certainty, a company strong, valuable, and unbreakable. But when they reached the heart of Innovate, the Nexus algorithm, everything changed. A storm of concern swept through the room. The license for Nexus was missing. Panic flickered in their eyes as they searched in vain. The code was everywhere, but proof of ownership was nowhere. Doubt crept in, cold and sharp. Alarm bells blared. The deal teetered on the edge of disaster. The buyers demanded answers. Where was the contract with Elara, the algorithm's creator? Mr. Sterling's team tore through archives, desperation mounting until finally they found the agreement. The hidden clause was revealed. Chaos erupted. Voices rose. Faces paled. The truth was undeniable. Innovate had been using Nexus illegally since Elara's departure. The license had expired the day she was fired. The company's value crumbled. Everything they'd built rested on stolen ground. The acquisition collapsed in an instant. The buyer's fury was volcanic. Mr. Sterling faced a reckoning. His empire was unraveling before his eyes. His dream had become a nightmare, one he could not wake from. Meanwhile, Elara sat in her quiet home office, sunlight streaming through the window when the phone rang. The tech giant's lawyers were on the line. Their tone was different now, humble, even hopeful. They wanted to negotiate. They needed her. Moments later, Mr. Sterling's lawyers called, their voices tinged with desperation and regret. Innovate was staring down a massive lawsuit for copyright infringement. The company's future was in Elara's hands. The sale was dead. The dream was over for Innovate. Elara, once cast aside, now held all the power. She was calm, resolute, and unshakable. She didn't need to fight. She simply waited, her quiet strength radiating. Time was on her side. Every second brought her closer to justice. The company that had dismissed her to save a few dollars now owed her millions. Her work had become their undoing. If Innovate wanted to survive, they would have to buy a new license from her, on her terms. Elara negotiated with grace and brilliance. She emerged not just victorious, but transformed. She sold an exclusive, high-value license for Nexus directly to the tech giant, securing her legacy. She also received a record-breaking settlement from Innovate for their years of illegal use. With her victory, Elara launched her own company, a place where creators were valued and innovation thrived in the light. Mr. Sterling lost everything. His reputation was shattered, his empire gone. The story of Innovate Inc. became a legend, a warning, a cautionary tale. Always read the contract, always protect your work, treat every person with respect, for you never know whose idea will change the world. And never, ever underestimate the quiet, brilliant mind in the room. Sometimes, the silent code is the one that rewrites destiny. True success is built on integrity, courage, and the unwavering belief that justice will prevail. In the end, it is not the loudest voice but the truest heart that triumphs. If you enjoyed this story, leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. Your support helps us bring more stories to life. Thank you for watching The Silent Code. Your time and support mean the world to us. If this story inspired you or made you think, we hope you'll join us for more tech thrillers and real-life tales of innovation and resilience. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a new chapter. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and remember, every story has the power to change the world.